After watching the 50 Cent produced Diddy documentary, did it change how you viewed Suge's role at all? And people alleging that he was involved with Tupac's death?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you get away with stuff, and you like when you hear the song on the I put $1 billion on your head. Real kid, like you know, like and don't nobody want to kill nobody, and really don't let nobody know.
I mean, it's all f***ed up. It was a setup. It was a plot to my brother. I feel f***ed up about it.
This is a major turning point. According to 50 Cent, the FBI was not only monitoring Sean Diddy Combs for recent allegations, but was quietly revisiting something far darker, a trail of evidence repeatedly linked to the murders of Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. In this video, we examine new revelations coming from people closest to the case, including former Bad Boy insiders Kirk Burroughs and Gene Deal, along with Tupac's own family, his brother Mopreem and cousin Jamala, both deeply connected to the events. Tupac and Biggie were once close friends, rising together and reshaping hip-hop before both were killed at the height of their fame just 6 months apart. Now, individuals who were there speaking out: Tupac's cousin, former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry, ex-LAPD detective Greg Kading, and even a former Crips member, all describe pieces of the same narrative, that Tupac's death was orchestrated. According to Kirk Burroughs, a co-founder of Bad Boy Entertainment, Diddy was responsible for arranging the shooting that killed Tupac. For decades, no one was charged, and the case became urban legend. But after the 2023 indictment of Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the dominoes began to fall. Former LAPD detective Greg Kading states in the documentary that only 2 figures remain central to the case: Keefe D. and Sean Combs. During recorded interviews, Keefe D. claimed that roughly a year before Tupac's death, Diddy stood before a room full of Crips and openly stated he wanted Tupac and Suge Knight dead, later allegedly offering $1 million for it to happen.
Claims that there is this ongoing conversation. It happens on 3 different occasions. But most specifically when he and Puffy are at this place called Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset. And they're there. Things have spiraled out of control. Puffy's really concerned about, the welfare of his safety. And he tells Keefe D, man, I just need to take care of this situation with Suge and Tupac. It's out of control. Tupac's on vinyl talking about kill kids when they grow up. And, it's just become this really serious conflict. And he says, I just need to take care of him. And Keefe D's like, that's no problem. That's what we do. And so an agreement was made, according to Keefe D, for an amount of money. And they kind of just let it go at that point in time. But of course, Keefe D knows in the back of his mind, this is what Puffy wants done. And they all end up out in Las Vegas. Suge's out there.
Before you say that, there's a couple things I want to talk about.
Sure.
Vegas. So when you say that Keefe got offered an amount of money, according to him, was there a dollar amount?
Yeah, so there was a dollar amount. But I think that, the nuances of this conversation are that, like, man, I'll give you $1 million, whatever it takes. It's like exaggerated speech. But of course, when we interview Keefe D, he's like, yeah, that's the agreement amount was $1 million.
So according to Keefe, he's claiming that Puffy offered him $1 million to Suge or Tupac?
Both of them. Yeah, both their names came up. And according to Keefe D, he says, Tupac's put himself on the list by all the shit fucking that he is doing.
The recorded statements don't end there. Keefe D also described a firearm hidden inside a vehicle connected to Eric Von Zip Martin, a man described as powerful and closely linked to Diddy. Tupac's brother has publicly stated that both Von Zip and Diddy should have been thoroughly investigated, especially if Von Zip supplied Keefe D with the weapon allegedly used in the shooting. Clapperboard clipped through.
Yeah, I can see how Pac felt like they had something to do with the setup, man. But speaking of Puffy, right, how do you feel about the rumor that Puffy, he gave a guy named Eric Von Zip a check for $1 million to give to Keefe D to kill Tupac?
I'm familiar with the story. I'm familiar with the dude. My man Big Psych, rest in peace, used to know that dude.
So you met Von Zip before. So how does that make you feel, man? Somebody that you met, and I'm sure that he knew that she was Tupac's brother. How does that make you feel knowing that he's the one that provided Keffe D with the gun to Tupac?
I mean, it's all f***ed up. It was a setup. It was a plot to my brother. I feel f***ed up about it. I don't know that nigga, but I ain't got no love for none of them. Straight up. It sounds like a typical plot. See, but considering who that guy is to Puffy and to Keffe D, for it not to be addressed is weird. We will see.
Kirk Burroughs' personal journals suddenly become critical evidence. Just days before Tupac was killed, Burroughs wrote that Diddy asked him to rent vehicles to drive from New York to Las Vegas for the Mike Tyson fight. The request stood out. Flying would have been faster and easier, but Burroughs followed instructions and meticulously documented everything: dates, costs, routes. Those handwritten notes are now featured in the documentary, and according to insiders, the FBI may be using them as part of their investigation into Diddy.
Security, Gene Deal, who was there to secure Puff, all the other warnings that we got that we needed more security, the snafu in the business world came in like this. You have a budget for everything that you do. The budget for Big in LA for the awards show ended that Friday night, Saturday morning, when a new budget started to get him from LA to London, where he would be taken care of with security, his friends, and everyone that he wanted to be with him in the style that he was accustomed to handle the press junket. When that didn't happen, that budget was never opened. The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security. The beef up. And we lost him. And in that decision, what it put us in, that decision put us in the worst situation that we could have ever been in. We lost our number one talent. We're on a West Coast where we're surrounded by enemies who told us not to be here. We really shouldn't have been there, but we were. Now we have to get out of there.
After midnight, Biggie left a party in Los Angeles. While stopped at a red light, a vehicle pulled alongside him. Shots were fired. Biggie was struck multiple times and later pronounced dead at just 24 years old. Following his death, troubling events unfolded. Reports surfaced that Biggie had been planning to leave Bad Boy Records. Legal disputes over his publishing rights began. Instead of Biggie being publicly honored, Diddy appeared on the covers of major magazines. Just 2 months later, Diddy released I'll Be Missing You, which became a global hit. His debut album followed and went multi-platinum. Years later, Diddy admitted that Biggie's death increased his fame, a statement that raised serious questions. Over time, multiple individuals closely connected to Diddy reportedly became ill, were silenced, or died under unusual circumstances. Lawsuits were filed. Allegations surfaced, then disappeared. Now, longtime Bad Boy insider and former head of security Gene Deal says the upcoming Keffe D trial could change everything, especially due to the defense strategy being used. According to Gene, Keffe D's argument is simple. Tupac's murder traces back to Puff.
There's no physical evidence that Keffe D or has something to do with Pac's death. There's circumstantial evidence. There's people that could probably testify on what somebody told them or heard. So now, Keffe D lawyers and them did a great job when they did trial by judge, because the judge is looking for physical evidence. What ties Keffe D to Puff? What ties Keffe D to the Tupac? And how could they prove that either one of them has something to do with it? Somebody would have to get on the stand and say that I saw him, he told me, and they want to have to believe them. So, do they believe Keefe D? If he told a lot of different stories, you got to realize he may have told more than one or two stories, because he tell that story now. What about the stories he told prior to this? You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to look at that. You're going to look at, okay, did he get the money? Where's the money at? Who got the money? Who wrote the check? Who paid the money? Where did it come from? When did it come from?
Gene Deal points out that there is no physical evidence placing Keefe D at the scene as the shooter. What exists instead are statements, secondhand accounts, and alleged conversations. That's why Keefe D's legal team pushed for a bench trial rather than a jury trial. Judges focus strictly on evidence, not emotion. This raises the core question: what directly ties Keefe D to Tupac's murder? One critical factor remains: Keefe D has repeatedly admitted involvement in Tupac's killing.
Keefe D's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later. Very few people know that immediately after Tupac is shot and that white Cadillac is fleeing, one of the death row entourage, a guy named Alton McDonald, known as Buntree, chases after the Cadillac, and a second shooting takes place between the two vehicles. Alton McDonald's car is struck. In fact, within the Las Vegas murder files, there's a document that indicates that Alton McDonald's car had been struck by a bullet that night.
Yeah, and he even said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a murder for hire or something. You know what I'm saying?
The FBI said it was just Zip.
So the FBI told you the same
he was
thing.
a dirty motherfucker, yeah.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well.
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You're the last one to know everything. Even lawyers, your friends, everybody can cross your ass.
Gene says the case only truly comes together if someone testifies directly. I heard the conversation. I saw the exchange. I know where the money came from. But that remains difficult. Keefe D has told multiple versions of a story over the years, and each inconsistency forces investigators to re-examine every prior statement. Prosecutors must explain why this version should be believed over the others. Gene states that if investigators can prove money moved from Diddy through intermediaries and ultimately reached Keefe D, and those intermediaries confirm it, the entire case changes. Gene has long claimed that Diddy and Tupac were not on good terms, a claim recently supported by Tupac's cousin Jamala.
So I run into Suge. Pac had to fight with Orlando Anderson. He come upstairs to the hotel room. First of all, when we get to Vegas, right, he flipped on me. He like, yo, move. Cause I'm thinking when we get to Vegas, we're gonna turn up, it's gonna be all lit. But once we get there, he turned on me. Like, nah, Moo, I don't want you coming out. You and Kadada stay in the hotel and so forth. So I'm feeling the way. I'm like, oh, she ain't this, like, how you gonna bring us out here? Now we gotta stay in our rooms. So I'm rebellious, right? So I'm being rebellious, right? So Suge Pop comes in the room. He's talking about how he just knocked out some dude. I don't know who the dude is. I didn't know later that this is Orlando Anderson, the head of the Crip and all this crap. You know what I mean? So when Pop come in the room talking about it, I'm like, oh, word, say word, Pop. So he changed. That's when he changed from the orange button-up shirt that he had on, and he put on the green, like, basketball jersey type of shirt, right? So at this point, he's looking for the outlaws. He don't know where they at. And he's telling me and Kadada to chill in the room. That, you know, everybody, they outside, they wilding. It's Robert Wayne time. And again, showing his protection for us, he recommend that we stay in the room. But I came out the room anyway and ran into Suge. And when I ran into Suge in the elevator, he in there with his girl, right? So I'm like, yo, Suge, I know you heard how Pop knocked out homie. And before I could say homie, Suge gave me the silent, he put the finger on his lips to silent me. So that already gave me like, oh, let me tone it down a notch.
Looking back, Jamala believes Tupac may have been trying to protect her, warning her without words that danger was near. She recalls his behavior that night, intense, energized, but still protective. Tupac told her and Kidada Jones to stay inside the room. Kidada, his fiancée at the time, remained calm and supportive, grounding him rather than fueling the chaos. Jamala confirmed what many questioned for years. Tupac truly planned to marry Kidada. He spoke of homes, family, business, and a future beyond death row records. Tupac wanted out.
This could be a week or two prior to us going to Vegas, right? So we in the kitchen and Pac is on the phone. I'm in the kitchen, Pac is in the kitchen. And the outlaws, everybody scattered throughout the house, but Pac is on the phone, and this is what I seen with my own eyes. And Pac is going bananas, yo. He's wilding out. He's cussing out Death Row. Whoever, he didn't say, he just on the phone with somebody from Death Row camp. And he's going bananas. And all I hear him saying and screaming out is his masters, his masters. Yo, my brother's head was sweating. He had veins popping out his neck, his head. He was at 10. And at that moment, I was scared. You know why? Because I thought that death was coming to the house to knock us all out. You know what I mean? Because again, we're in California. We're around amongst people that we're not quite understanding their culture, their gang lifestyle and stuff. You know what I mean? Again, we're New Yorkers. I certainly don't understand it. So I was a little afraid, I must admit. And I thought that death was coming to the house to knock us all out, straight up.
And so when you see Tupac on the phone, had you ever seen him like that before?
No, not like that. Nope. Not like where his veins is popping out his neck and out his bald head. No. Not that angry. And that's what scared me, because of the anger, the rage that he was pouring out. You know what I mean? And it was like I was just standing there stiff. I didn't even want to walk past him while he's on the phone. It's like, let me just stand here until he get off the phone, because he was, like I said, he was at 10 and he was pissed off.